Under my administration, black Americans prospered like no time in the history of our country. We achieved the lowest African American unemployment rate ever recorded. That's a big stat. That's 1.2 million African Americans lifted themselves out of poverty on the strength of the Trump economy, the most in more than a century. Think of it. It's never happened like that before. Black Americans saw their largest increase in home ownership ever recorded. These are things that happened during this 4-year period, Wesley, right? All of it. The black labor force participation rate reached its highest point in a generation with Senator Scott. Tim Scott came to my office. I'll never forget it. I have an idea, he said. We created opportunity zones which drove billions and billions of dollars in wealth to revitalize our most distressed communities, especially in the inner cities. I think it's the greatest economic development program maybe ever, and people don't talk about it. But that was done by Tim Scott, and then he came to see me, and we got it done, and it's been incredible. I got record funding for historically black colleges and universities. You know, the first year I saw like 45 guys come up. They're the heads of most, I think, guys, one wonderful woman, actually. They were the heads of the colleges. And I said, so what are you doing? They said, we come up every year to ask for help, funding. And I said, all right. I didn't think much about it, but I got it for them. The second year they came up, and I said, what are you doing here? Well, we're back again. I said, you have to do this every year? They said, yeah, every year we come up. We never have funding, so we always come up and ask for funding. And one of them said, I feel like a beggar. I come up, I feel like a beggar. We do a good job with those incredible schools, but I feel like a beggar coming up. I said, ooh, that's tough. And sort of then forgot about it as we did. You know, I was focused on Russia hoax and lots of other things, right? That we won. There was no collusion. I could have told them that in the first minute, Ben. But the third year they came up, I said, okay, you're here to get money again, aren't you? Yeah. Well, and they'd come over to the White House, and I got to know them a little bit, and they were fantastic. I'll tell you, in particular, like I had some guys in there that were phenomenal people. And I said, you're looking for money again? I said, I have an idea. Why don't we get you a 10-year plan where you have all the money you want? Give me a number, and I'm going to add some more onto it. And I'll get it approved. And I got it approved. And we took care of these incredible people. And I said, the only bad thing is that I like you guys. I may never see you again. It was very sad, actually. I said goodbye to them, and actually I've never seen them again. They don't need me anymore. But Ben knows this. You remember that period of time. It wasn't that easy to get either. And I think a lot of the politicians in Washington use that as a lever to take advantage. In other words, every year they'd have to come up, and what are you going to give me now? They don't have to. They don't have to kiss anybody's ass anymore. I can tell you that. So we took care of that. A lot of people don't know that. Everybody on stage knows it, and we'll invest more in a second term. We're going to take care of them, and they really have. They've done a great job, and it's very tough. You're competing against schools that have billions and billions of dollars in endowments, and it's a tough deal. But they've done an incredible job under crooked Joe Biden. It's been nothing but it's really a catastrophe and a disaster, and you know it better. And I'm not saying this, and this is from the heart. It's been a disaster for black Americans. Biden gave you a 3-year inflation rate of almost 39%. So over 3 years, didn't matter if you made a little bit more money. After inflation, you were way, way behind. The number of African American families living in poverty has increased by more than 50% since the year one of his administration. Hard to say that his administration, because, you know, we got more votes than anybody in the history of a sitting president. We got millions more votes than we did in 2016. I was told by John McLaughlin and Fabrizio, the great pollsters, sir, if you can get 63 million votes, that's what we got in 16, there's no way you can be beaten. Well, we got like 75 million votes. I said, so I guess we didn't get beaten, yeah? But they said we got beaten. Now, we're going to be watching very closely. Look, we have a country that's got a lot of things going on. We have an open border. We have bad elections. We have very, very bad elections. You have to have honest elections and strong borders, or you don't have a country. You don't have a country. The average mortgage payment is now almost 2 times as high, costing the typical family an extra $19,000 a year in mortgage payments from when I was president. You and your family cannot afford 4 more years of Bidenomics. He thinks it's a good term. It's a really bad term. Anything having to do with his name is bad. That's why this November, black Americans are going to tell, you all watch The Apprentice, right? They're going to tell Crooked Joe Biden, you're fired. You're fired. Get the hell out of here, You're fired. Get out of here. You've been an incompetent, horrible president. You allowed wars to go that should have never happened. Israel should have never been attacked. Ukraine should have never been attacked. You're a lousy president, worst president ever. The happiest person about him, though, and man who thinks very warmly of him, is Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter is now considered a brilliant president by comparison to Crooked Joe Biden. Jimmy Carter is a happy man. For Biden, wrecking the dreams of African Americans is nothing new. You know this. You know the real story behind this guy. I said, do I really want to say this stuff? Then I said, what the hell? I've been saying it. You know, when they said, oh, you can't run. You know, when you look at the presidency, it's such a cherished, incredible position, such responsibility. But 92% of the people were politicians and 8% were generals. So no percent were from where I came from. So they said, oh, he's just going to have a good time. You think I'm having a good time? I'm not sure it's a good time, but I love it. I love it. Because we're going to make America great again. That's why I love it. But I said, do we really want to hit him that hard? Because if you do, you can really go back into history with him. It's the only thing he's really been good at his entire career. You know what that is? Being a racist, because he's a racist. Crooked Joe backed NAFTA, which is a disaster for, just a disaster. It's been a disaster for Hispanic Americans and for black Americans. China's entry into the World Trade Organization, where they just ripped us apart. I took in $472 billion from China. No other president has taken in anything. They did not want to see me do so well. You know, we're leading in every poll by a lot. You see it. And I don't think China's too happy about that, actually. The Trans-Pacific Partnership and every other globalist horror show that ripped the guts out of our country and pulverized black workers and owners of small businesses. So to any black voter who's thinking of casting your ballot for us for the first time, it might be for the first time, and probably is, it's amazing. What's happened in the last 2 years is actually amazing, and it's been based on results, real results. Just remember, you owe Crooked Joe Biden absolutely nothing. You don't owe him a thing, so do not feel guilty. Please do not feel guilty.